fun begins again.
Well, first we gotta set our timer here.
Oh, we gotta set that timer.
Otherwise, we'll just be blabbing
When is
away.
hair and makeup coming? I've been waiting. I put in a call like at 5:30 this morning that said we need some hair and makeup.
Yeah. And
Maybe
guess
not.
what? Nobody showed up.
Yeah, we're waiting. Okay, clock is ticking. I gotta go
Yeah.
stack wood this afternoon because this is the wood burning time of the year.
It looks like Mary's going out hunting too.
Well, I want to be seen. I want to be seen, and I need to see some color. We see lots of white. We see some
Yeah.
green.
Oh, gosh,
we see
yeah.
quite a bit of brown.
It's pretty mono, isn't
It's
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
We're down to 3 colors. You know, we need to brighten things up. I was gonna wear my most favoritist long sleeve cotton shirt. Okay. It's long sleeve, it's kind of lightweight, it's pink. And I love that shirt because it's like the most comfortable shirt ever.
In the winter?
But it's getting stained up, and I thought of, professional appearance.
Right,
We
that's
gotta,
important.
Impress the audience.
We don't want
and-
our fans just saying, I'm not watching them in again because I don't like what they're wearing.
Wardrobe, where is wardrobe?
They didn't show up either. We're out of luck. I'm thinking maybe what we should just buy is a couple of those like polyester jumpsuits that has our names on them.
Yeah, I like a little variety.
They're like uniforms.
Yeah, yeah. We can't do uniforms. Okay, so today on this edition of
The History Files. And this is another remote studio kitchen edition.
a little chilly to be driving around.
Yeah. And the dog Zip is in here, but if she starts getting
Rambunctious.
rambunctious, she's going to make an exit.
Yes, we have to. This is a time of the year where we need to expand our word usage. So she'll be rambunctious and.
She'll be rambunctious right out the door.
There we go. Turkey hot dogs. That's why she likes it when I come to visit, because then she gets to have a treat because she's naughty.
She associates Mary with turkey hot dogs, apparently.
There we go. Turkey hot dogs galore. There's another good word. What are we going to talk about today, Miss Nancy?
Well, something I think that we just take for granted. And I'm so glad that we're living now because we're going to talk about how people used to do their laundry.
Well, I think at one time in history it was like a rock,
Right.
a prayer in a creek or a river.
Pounding it on in a river or a stream. Oh, can you imagine that?
Oh, and can you imagine how cold your hands must have
I
gotten?
know it. And then
But cold wash is coming back.
it is, that's true.
There's this big push now to
cold water,
do cold water washes.
Yeah.
And I think about that sometimes when Bruce comes in after, changing oil on the tractor.
That's tough.
Or working with hydraulic fluid. And it's like, I don't know how effective cold water would be, but not a lot of people work like that.
Well, no. And like you're saying, it used to be, just pounding it on a rock in a river. But then it kind of, it progressed to having tubs. You washed your stuff in tubs.
And those were kind of like they were like a tin, weren't they?
Well, they were all different. I've got one here that's actually,
Babies got washed in those too.
this is a wash tub that's made out of wood.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was probably the time stamp when they said don't throw the baby out
With the bath
water.
Yeah.
Because the babies were typically the last one to get a bath.
Right. And you just,
Oh, but look, whoa.
Yeah.
Woo, look at this.
This really got people going. This is kind of like sexy laundry, huh?
Look at, wow. This was, I betcha, something that every husband wanted to make sure his wife had in their laundry room.
I bet if husband had this picture, he had it hidden somewhere.
Well, I bet you he did. I bet you he did out in his man cave of the day, right?
But they said this was the what you did on your laundry day. Before modern times, you had tubs. Now this lady has got the metal type tubs, tin tubs.
And now, is her tub sitting on fire?
No, it's sitting up on a, I don't know,
Looks
a
like-
bench or something.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
a lot of times they had to boil their water.
Yep, they said they had to heat it. That was the first thing you did, was you had to heat that water in a kettle or something for your wash. And one of these would have been for your hot water, and one would have been cold for rinse. And then you had to take a cake of soap, and it usually was that lye soap.
Oh, I remember my grandma making lye soap.
Yeah, and I guess it worked really well. It might have been a little hard on your skin if you were washing with it a lot. But then they would shave it down. Oh, that's
It's
the
just a
dog.
newspaper.
Yeah, it's just a dog eating
Well, just
a
checking to make
newspaper.
sure that she's not chewing up the tax bill or something. It's tax time too. So,
But they would shave that lye soap into the boiling water. And then it said that while you were, and once you got that done, you had your clothes sorted into 3 piles.
Okay.
Whites, and then
they would be first.
colored.
Okay.
And then the last one would be like overalls, barn clothes, rags, and stuff.
The dirtiest of the lot.
Right. So
I can see that.
People still do that.
That's kind of how I sort our laundry.
Yeah, right, yeah. And then they would, they used to starch clothes because they didn't have, permanent press or anything.
Right.
And how they did that was they would stir flour into cool water,
Okay.
and then they would try to get it nice and smooth, and then they would thin it with boiling water, and then they would put it in.
Isn't that how you make gravy?
Well, so it sounds like, doesn't it?
Starching your clothes with gravy. Okay. Well, that makes sense, and I bet you they kind of maybe smelled good, but did they add a lot of perfumes and scents in the day?
Well, I don't think out on the farms they did, no. But now then, you got your boiling water and you got your clothes, you got your soap in there. So then you took out your scrub board.
Your washboard.
Yeah, and you started scrubbing like this lady is doing.
I have a washboard just like that.
Yeah, they work
in my
good.
collection.
They said that you would rub the dirty spots really hard and scrub hard, and you would boil those clothes. And I've always thought, boy, that was before when you had rubber gloves or anything.
Oh.
Can you imagine how hard that was on
Well,
your hands?
and you probably didn't have the wide collection of like hand creams and skin
Probably
lotions.
not. You probably had some butter or something. Or
Lard.
You could
Lard
put
was
in
not
there.
only good for, that's why everybody baked pies in the day.
Sure.
Because that was their natural hand lotion.
And can you imagine if you were living on a farm, especially in the winter? I know that they said that Bruce's father's mother
Okay.
used to say that she only washed once a month during the winter.
Oh, wow. So then
And-
that had to be quite a chore.
Well, and those were all those boys, and they probably had a lot of socks and long underwear and barn clothes. But I don't think people changed their socks every day back then, do you?
Probably not,
No.
Nancy.
No.
But they didn't have the heat in the house the same as we have it today. There was a lot of things that were different in a day that maybe would keep down the sweat and
The smell?
the smell, yes,
Maybe
the
you just
smell.
got used to it and you didn't notice it anymore.
Well, if everybody smelled bad, then nobody smelled bad, right?
Yeah. And they said that, the colored clothes, they didn't usually boil those. They would, they would rub them, but they would actually boil the white clothes
Right.
on the stove. And I'm sure that was a really good method of getting dirt and also of really
Bright.
making them bright and
Right.
killing any germs or anything. I've heard people say that, I don't know if this is true, but because now we do a lot of wash with cold,
Right.
and a lot of people don't ever hang their clothes out in the sunlight, that maybe there is some germs that hang on them. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
I'm a firm believer in that clothesline, Nancy.
Oh yeah, it doesn't cost anything either.
No,
does it?
and I have one in my basement.
Yeah.
Because we heat with wood heat.
Sure.
And so it's kind of you get free clothes drying and you get a little bit of moisture added into a dry environment.
Yeah, yeah. So here's a lady that's really, here over on the right, there's the pump.
Oh,
You know,
boy,
she
she's
pumped out her
modern.
water.
You bet.
Yep, and she has a lot of buckets and things. And then over here, down here, kind of on the left, this stick, that was what they used to, plunge
pounding,
in there
yeah.
and get the clothes really, good, because they didn't have the agitation. If you wanted to agitate, you did it yourself.
That's why them women had such nice, what are they, pecs?
People did hang their laundry out in the cold too.
Well, I see
It
people,
works.
yeah, it just takes a little bit longer and you
yeah.
have to kind of freeze thaw.
It freeze dries, and I hang a lot of my stuff out even in the winter, and I bring it in, and boy, does it smell good.
I know.
Oh, it just smells like you captured about 100 pounds of fresh air.
Well, and that's the best. I think that's why people hang their laundry out, is
Yeah.
because it's all fresh air. And in the wintertime, I'm sorry, our house smells like
Yeah.
wood stove.
And stuff that you can put that fabric softener or stuff in there,
Yeah.
and that kind of is trying to, I think, duplicate that smell of the
No.
fresh air, but it's not. So
No, it doesn't even come
No.
close.
So, if you've never tried it, just do it. It doesn't hurt your clothes. I mean,
No.
if they freeze dry, it's not like they're going to stay that way.
No, but you want to let them thaw out before you put them on.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And here's a picture of soap chips. Now, this was like in the 20s, and this was a huge leap forward because then you weren't having to shave the soap, you
Right.
could buy it like this. And
Well, and you didn't have to make the soap to
Right.
shave the
Right,
stove.
right.
Soap.
And they said that a lot of times people would keep their wood ashes,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would pour water through it and let leach through. That was the lye that they
Right.
used in making lye, because nothing was wasted that way, was it?
Right.
And then when you're all done with your laundry, so you had that water, right?
Yes.
So you don't waste anything. So they said you'd take the water and you would dump it on, maybe your flowers. Or you would, like the water that had been hot with a lot of soap, you put that on the porch and you could scrub your porch floor with that.
Right. Well, you recycle. You
Yeah.
kept recycling.
You just didn't waste anything.
Well, and this is a newfangled machine as the times changed. Although it does have a wooden barrel, it
Yeah.
has the ringer.
Oh, and it said the last thing you did after you got done scrubbing the front of the porch, you put on a clean apron.
Oh, there we go. We're back to those aprons with big pockets.
Yeah. But yes, you were totally right about these. This is a machine, and this was before, there was electricity and everything, but it had that ringer.
There you go. You could squeeze out the
gosh.
moisture. But don't you think that'd be really like hard on buttons?
I'm
Because
sure there was a knack to getting it through there.
well, buttons and zippers and
This was maybe pre-zipper.
well, I'm guessing it. Oh boy, there we go. There was another hot shot in there.
Yeah, this was like a Victorian. This was absolutely it was an advertisement, and I think
Is he
the little-
bringing her soap?
I think it's bluing. They used to
Bluing.
put that in, and it makes things real white.
Oh,
It's like
that's
a bleach.
right.
I don't really know exactly how bluing was made, but I remember 4-H kids that had cattle that had some
Yes.
white on it. They used to use bluing to get the white really white.
Yeah, makes it
Yeah.
look like newborn calf.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'll have to look up and see what bluing really is.
Something I'm sure that ate the skin off your hands.
Well, probably. Now you could buy these ringers separate too.
Oh.
They didn't have to be attached. You could buy them. But boy, I bet it took some muscles to work that.
Well, especially if you're running jean type material
Yeah.
or jackets. Could you imagine washing a wool jacket? How heavy that would be?
I think you just have to let it drip dry.
And squishing it out?
Through there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But and then of course you could adjust the tension on the top.
Right.
So maybe for the really big things, maybe they didn't have it quite as tense. I don't know. But that was a great labor
saver.
And it was just a huge thing when they came up with these ringers. It was just a wonderful invention.
Oh, there's the iron
Yeah.
that you would heat up on your wood stove.
They said wash on Monday and then iron on Tuesday.
And in those days, I mean, even the linens were ironed.
Everything.
Everything was
Everything
ironed.
got ironed, yes. And you'd usually have two of these
Right.
irons, and you'd have them heating on the wood stove, and then you'd grab one and use it, and when it started to get not so hot, then you'd grab
You'd
the other
switch.
one,
Well,
switch them.
It was all about efficiency.
Yeah, I guess it worked pretty well, and these things were fairly heavy too.
Well, and I'm trying to figure out, most of the meals that we've researched in like our cookbook editions, there was all day cooking going on. There's all day laundry going on.
Yeah.
There's all day everything going on. How did they find the time to do these things?
Well, then imagine, what if back then when families were bigger, suppose you had a family
Of 10.
of 10 or more, and maybe you had 3 kids in diapers at the same time.
And the
Can you
diapers were
imagine?
not the kind that you sent to the landfill.
No, you didn't throw them away, that's for sure. That would have been a huge amount.
Oh, no wonder why so many of them women died young.
Now, this is a picture of a guy's collection.
Ooh.
He collected Ringer washing machines.
Wow.
But they came in all different sizes.
And then they had the round versions too.
Yep, they had round, or some were square. My grandmother had a Ringer washing machine that was run by a little motor.
Like on the side?
Like a gas motor, yeah.
Wow.
But they said you had to be careful to make sure that you vented it out a window, or you'd be dead pretty fast.
Well, you gas yourself in the
Yeah,
basement
yeah.
or in the kitchen or wherever you had it set up. I remember one time my grandmother had one of these, and I remember getting my fingers pinched.
Oh, God, you had, yeah.
Well,
they
we were
dangerous.
screwing around with it and
Yeah.
pressing buttons and monkeying where
Yeah.
we should not have been monkeying.
Those ringers had, they were a dangerous thing, and they hear about people getting their hair caught in them or whatever.
That would,
you know.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, terrible things happening. But this washing machine that had an agitator and a ringer, oh boy, was that a jump forward.
Oh yeah, well just think of the time savings.
Yeah, amazing. And
You didn't have to stand there with a stick.
yeah, it was great. And when the REA started putting, running electric lines out to the farms, well, then people could get electric ones. But before
Right.
that, they had one like my grandma that had a little motor on it. So.
Well, and as the kids grew up, they became responsible for more chores outside of the
Yeah.
home, and they couldn't stand there and crank all day.
No, even if you had a lot of kids. Or a hired girl, maybe a hired girl.
Oh, hired girls, yes.
So this shows, like, my mother had one of these, and she loved it. She did not want an automatic washing machine. She
Okay.
said she didn't think they did as good a job.
Oh.
And, because you could really agitate things with these old ringers.
Right.
And especially, she said that, first you had your water and you washed your white stuff, and then you had your rinse water. Well, then she would let out that first wash water, and then she put in some more water, and that was where the colors went in.
Okay.
And if you had stuff that was really dirty, you could really let it go for quite a while,
Right,
too.
right.
And I suppose the big thing was you could put clothes in here, and then you could walk away. You didn't
Well,
have
you
to
had-
stand right there with a plunger.
You had to cook. You had to cook. I mean,
You had to change those diapers. That was a big saver. And, you can still buy these. They make them brand new.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like you can't get them. They are still there. And they were just, thank goodness now that we live somewhere in a time when we don't have to sit there and boil the water or even...
And spend a day
It'd be a
doing
whole day.
wash.
I know it. It would just be, and I think that, people just did not change their clothes as much. And I don't think, and that was the reason too for the big aprons that women wore.
Because you kept everything underneath you
Yeah.
one layer
Kept
of
it
clean.
Right. That was a wonderful labor
And that's why we should
saver.
come. We should start up a apron company.
With our faces on it. Mary and Nancy, large aprons.
With big pockets. Big pockets to keep all your goodies in.
So quick here, Mary. I wanted to close with a couple of happy pictures.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've
Good.
got
Because
some
we're
happy
done. We're
pictures.
exhausted from washing clothes.
Yes.
And even
Let's end on something happy.
and even Zip says washing laundry day is a hard day, isn't
Yes.
it, girl?
Oh, terrible.
Yes.
Just terrible. So this is a picture that, it was on Facebook and on the internet and on our TrempealeauCountyHistory.org website, and people love this picture. And you remember who it is?
It is.
Who is it?
It is Joe Cooling.
No, Joe Reck.
Joe Reck. Excuse me.
yes,
We
yes.
talked this yesterday.
Yes. So this would have been an uncle to Vitus Campa.
Yes. So it's one of my relatives.
Yep, and so it's related to you. And they thought this was around 1910 or so. And he's on this really big, nice, looks like a draft horse.
It's a beautiful animal.
Yeah, and it must be winter or early spring. And it's in Independence.
Well, you can
Yeah,
see it's right down Main
Independence
Street.
Is behind him.
And Emma Pulser Station would have been off, eventually would have
Yeah.
been off on the right-hand
Yeah.
side of the image.
So you're thinking, well, why is he riding bareback on this horse in the winter? Well, I thought, well, maybe he brought the horse into town to the farrier, have
could
shoes
be.
done or whatever. But he seems to be very at ease on this horse, doesn't he?
Yeah, and the horse doesn't seem to be any of the bother.
No.
He's not
Beautiful
bucking
horse.
or he's relaxed. He's got
Yeah.
his ears. I wonder what they're looking at.
Yeah, it's hard telling, but
Maybe it's one of them washerwomen.
yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, you got to wash clothes in the wintertime, but I don't think you'd do it outside.
And there's just a couple of kids off here to the left that are watching him, and probably the photographer.
Right.
Yeah. It's an interesting picture.
Just a nice pose.
Most pictures back then were posed or in a studio, so when you see something like this, that's just a little more.
Well, and it looks like he's in kind of dressy clothes, so maybe he was in town at church.
He's got a bow tie.
Oh,
There goes our time.
there we go.
But we still got a couple minutes
Oh,
here.
we still, the bells are ringing.
Yeah.
That means the clock is ticking. We're running out of time.
And we got one more happy picture here, if I can get back to it. It's and this was another one that I think was originally on the Salesians of Trempealeau County, that Facebook page.
Yep.
That Vitus Campa works on.
Oh, look at
Everybody
that.
loved this picture.
Oh,
I mean,
everybody's smiling.
isn't that a happy picture?
It is.
This is 1949, and these are the cooks for the Joe Cooling and Bernice Samisik wedding.
Oh.
Okay, or not Samisik, Smick. I'm sorry, Bernice Smick. And they are all they are identified. The first lady here on the left with a big smile was Tracy Halama Corpel, and then next to her, holding what looks like, I don't know, a dish of beets or something. I don't know. That was
Sweet potatoes,
could
maybe.
be Anna Bouch Kupka. And next to her, with her hand over her face, that was Gertrude Smick Reck. And next to her was Valeria Sukla Dano. And then behind her is Mary Dano Klineski. And then peeping over here, they said that was, let's see. Oh, maybe that was, I don't want to get them mixed up here. But then it was, I'm not sure who the lady is that's peeping, around here. But then it was Monica Pintock Dano and Helen Smick. So most of them are identified, not all of them, unfortunately. But these were the cooks for the wedding. And they said that being a cook for a wedding, that was a real honor.
Oh, you bet.
And it looks like they had fun.
Well, and they all have aprons.
They all have their aprons, don't they?
That is so awesome. And imagine to have a home-cooked meal like that at your wedding.
Oh, I bet everybody said, oh, the food was so good.
Yes, and it looked like they were probably eating ring bologna or kielbasa
Oh, I'm
or
sure.
something on those. It was probably walking around 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was probably fresh. And everybody said, this is a really happy picture.
And we need happy.
Yeah, because it is winter.
It is winter.
Yeah.
And we thank you all for joining us on this edition of The History Files.
This is our other remote studio edition, and the dog actually behaved.
She did, but hair and
that.
makeup didn't show up, nor did wardrobe.
No, yeah.
So you're stuck with
What?
warm, snuggly clothes.
What you see is what you get.
I'm a hoodie person.
Yep.
I like my hoodies, but I need some new ones. It's getting on that time.
Bye.
Bye.